All right, so I'm super excited today. My dad is making his official debut on the Raw Food Health Empowerment podcast. Thank you so much, Dad, for being on the show.
You're very welcome.
I appreciate it.
Anytime for you, baby. I'll do anything.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that's so nice. And I know that to be true because you literally like up and left your life to come help us and support us with Earth Healing Cafe, the store, the growth that we were going through at that time. And that's super cool and very like um you know, I just really appreciate it. It's not many people would do that, and I look back at all of what you've done since I've been around, because that's really what we're doing on this podcast, is shedding some light on how you were able to build before I came to the scene, so that, you know, when I came on board, you know, I had a pretty comfortable childhood. But just looking at some of the moves that you were making is very inspirational, and I completely understand now as an adult, as an early 30 something, what you were trying to achieve, what the goal was, you know, and seeing the moves that you were making. And so I just feel very much inspired and thankful and grateful to have had you as a dad, to have you as a dad, and a mentor, showing me what you know, generational wealth building is all about, and diligent work ethic, and all of that. So if you could kind of explain to me, so I was on a podcast recently talking about um wealth building, and how, you know, wealth, health is wealth, and all of that, and the connections, where I feel like I got stuck, were the details basically before I was born, right?
Right.
Because I think I kind of understand what was going on as when I was a child, you know. But I don't know, do you, like, you listen to the episode, was there anything glaring that I said that was inaccurate, speaking about you and your hustle and all the moves, the money moves you were making?
Well, there were some little inaccuracies, yes. However, it's a topic that we have never sat down and discussed in length for you to understand how the whole process went.
Yeah.
The thing is that you just observe it from outside and you watch us move forward with what we were doing. And at the time, you weren't at the place where you could have understand the whole process of what we were trying to achieve. Because your mom and myself, we are very two ambitious people. And I think that's what attracted me to your mom and your mom to me. We were one of those young people during that the 70s, I would say, or you know, the 70s and the 80s, uh, trying uh, to realize the American dream. And so without any formal training, we just went by in instinct to do what we think was best, and how we felt about whatever we were doing, which we were very passionate or whatever we were doing, and that helped to propel us to the place where we were before you came aboard. Um, and so that's where some of those things we have never gone over the topic of these things as a family sitting down. So you know, but some of the things you had correct, you know, you had correct. But in terms of coming here, we let's put it this way. Your mom and myself, and your mom could speak more to um, about her situation. She and I have listened to some of the things she said. She wasn't really a poor person in Jamaica because they had land, they had the agriculture, they had a lot of different things. However, they maintain just a normal life. It wasn't a celebrity type life, and they wanted better. Now the same thing was with me. I came up from seven siblings, and
And you were born and raised in Kingston,
I was born and raised in Kingston.
which is like concrete jungle in Jamaica, basically.
Well, Kingston, Jamaica. People term it as concrete jungle, but I mean, I wouldn't. Uh, I wouldn't. You know, claim it in that way. I would. That's not how I would express it because it had a little bit of city life, and because actually where I was born yes in Kingston, but I grew up in Saint Andrew, and Saint Andrew is a little suburb outside of the city, which is where most people who are middle class upper people would live,
Mm-hmm.
and so forth. But yeah, in every area you have poor and middle class and wealthy. So so you had land space, and you have city place where you probably would do you see a lot of you'd see projects and all those things, but it's not. I wouldn't say claim it. People call it concrete jungle. There's just a terminology they give it because there's more city. If you're in the city, let's put it this way, you have to buy mostly everything to eat. If you are in the country parts like where your mom is from, you don't necessarily have to go to you could eat off the fruit, the trees. There's so much fruits to eat. You just go and pick it, mangoes, so much different things. It's free access. So you don't really in the
Mm-hmm.
city, you basically have to have money in your pocket to go to the stores to buy some of these things, you know. So that's how it was. But basically, that, that's um that's
So,
so that's
so would you like your childhood? What was that like? Like, what was your living situation like, and like, how did you manage to even get to this country?
okay. Good, very good question. Um, I was in the Jamaica Defense Force, and I joined the Jamaica Defense Force at an early age. I would say at 18 years old, and I spent some 6 years in the Jamaica Defense Force. While I was there, I enjoyed a very good life because it was the government who was paying for my living experience, and I travel a lot. I went to school abroad. I uh, I met all different types of people all
You
from
went
all
to
different
you went
worlds.
to school abroad where?
In England,
Oh, to college?
no, I went to a military school in Chichester.
Oh, okay.
I spent 1 year in Chichester as a military police. So
Cuz
I did policing work like fingerprints, accident case detectives, subjects and so forth and so on. But
because
this
that at the time England was still uh had Jamaica as a colony at the
no,
time.
well, Jamaica had just became an independent nation. Jamaica just because I joined when Jamaica just became independent. I joined in 1962,
Mm.
and was just changing over from the West India Regiment. The West India Regiment meant it was all the Caribbean island was part of the regiment. So you had Trinidad, Guyana, Barbados, all of these Caribbean islands, and all the headquarters was in Jamaica. So it was called the West India Regiment. So you had the military people from England who was all over there. They are the ones who trained us, and they were in charge. That is before independence. Once independence came into being, they had to leave to go back to their country. So position within the army start um, to become vacant.
Mm-hmm.
And so the people who was in the military during that time, they got promoted and so forth. So I went in as a new person, new trainee, going in just in the time when before the changeover. See, so I was the first um, training division uh, that took place during the independence. So by the time Jamaica got independence, we were the ones who you will see advertised on the screen and with all the ceremonial parades and all the stuff. So that was weird. So that's 62.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 1968, I left Jamaica and came to America.
In
So when
68.
I came to America, I was living a good life in Jamaica. I didn't have to leave Jamaica to come up because I was very much independent. Getting, I mean, an yearly salary. I get 30 days vacation. I get medical benefits free. All of those things. Um, but it was a choice I made to leave the military to get back into civilian life. I made that, and I made that because of uh, I think that was a path that I think I had to because the military life is not such an easy life. You know, it's a life that you have to live under. Everything is command, and everything. If you disobey orders, there's consequences and all of that stuff. But it's a good life. But you just have to abide by the rules and guide them. But it's a healthy life. It's a good life. You meet lots of different people, and it gives you discipline.
Mm-hmm.
You learn a lot. To me, it's like it was like a college campus. It's just that you can't do anything. You don't have free things to just move around and do anything because you have people like, for example, me who would be the police, who would police the camp and to make sure it everything done in an orderly manner.
You spent 6 years in the force. You decide to come out of that and live a civilian life, and you make the decision. And so at this point now, you are married, right? With children at this point.
Yes,
Okay, you have 3 kids at this point.
yes,
Okay. And so you and your family decide to move to New York.
yes.
Like why leave Jamaica? I guess is the big question that comes to mind.
Well. To be honest, America here had a lot more opportunities. It had a lot of opportunities, and so therefore we see that. And once we see that with it, this is an opportunity where our kids would be able to be in a better position. It would be a little more difficult and in Jamaica at the time.
But
So we
why
chose.
why is that?
Well, because America is a vast country. It has a lot of opportunities, a lot of money, a lot of programs to help people. Once you're ambitious and want to work hard, it was a place of opportunity that you could do well.
And you felt like Jamaica just didn't have that.
It there are some people who did very well that stayed in Jamaica. However, I felt like after having the experience of overseas life, I wanted to try a little of it, and I see that there was a lot more opportunities here than in Jamaica.
Okay. All
Mm.
right. So then you choose out of the whole country, you chose New York. Was that strategic, or
No, I choose New York because I had family here.
who was here already?
My sister,
Huh.
my big
So
sister was
so
here.
you, just so folks are clear, you have a step, so your parents were divorced. You have a
Mhm.
stepmom on one side with your dad, you have a stepdad on the other side with your mom, and they have children. So you're like in the middle of
Right.
a whole bunch of kids.
That is correct.
So how many siblings in total?
Well, you would say 14 because seven on either side.
Okay. And you're just in the middle there.
Middle, right, right.
Okay. So you had a sister in New York and you felt okay, so and that was your only family member in the country.
Well, no, that wasn't my only family member in the country, but was my closest,
Mm,
closest.
okay.
However, when I came here, I didn't come to her. I come to my wife's family
So that was already here.
that was already here.
Okay. Okay. I got you. All right. So New York is now home, and then how do you establish yourself? Like did the force give you a whole bunch of money when you left?
No, I got some money from it, but I didn't take it. I left it there in the bank. I didn't take it.
In the bank in
Um,
Jamaica?
in Jamaica, yes, I left it there, and it eventually was transferred over to my kids in my kids' name. But once I stepped foot in America, I get a job within no time, and I started working.
What were you doing?
Um, oh, I was doing some menial work. I mean, working in a laundry um, with a company called Consolidated Laundry Company. They 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 clean uniforms and so forth for hospitals, restaurants, and so forth. So they deliver the clean uniforms and so. So I'm working. I started out working within the area with the machines. This is a big machine replaced with all the different types of machines, and then afterward they send me into distribution. And distribution meaning I go out on the vehicle and the truck with the drivers who's making these deliveries. So I go with them and I learn the route and so forth. But it was hard work, and I find that I wasn't. Um, uh, I didn't feel like I was living up to my potential because that was playing a secondary role. I'm used to be a leading, to be being a part of a leading role back in the military and so forth. And here I am, and I know this was temporary, so I held on to it in a temporary time until I left, and then went into construction. I left and went into construction. Why construction? Because my wife's family was involved in construction, and he was able to get me into the union, and I was able, and because my father in Jamaica was a carpenter, he was a contractor and builder. All of us boys that grew up with him, we have a general background of carpentry work. So it wasn't hard for me to get into that business and and move right up. So it took me a short period of time to get into the construction and started making big money.
So you came to America, it was like around what year was that?
68, 1968.
1968. And you have three children and your wife. Are the three children with you and your wife?
No, 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 they were left in Jamaica.
Oh, so you're just here by yourself.
Right.
Okay. So how are you living? Like, are you living in an apartment, in a house,
Yes.
like
Apartment.
by yourself?
No, I was staying with my uncle-in-law.
Oh, okay. Okay, I
I
see.
was staying with them first before I was able to rent an apartment. I stayed with them for about a month, and then I got an apartment.
And then at what point did your children and your wife come over?
No, they were. She was already here because she was the one who made the entrance first. She was already here, so the children came after. After we were able to purchase the first house, I didn't want to bring them here to live into to apartment buildings. I didn't like the settings into into some of the areas of the community,
Mm-hmm.
and I decided that I'm not going to bring them until I'm able to buy a house.
Mm. There's
And
so much I want to ask you about this that I don't know if we'll even be able to cover it today on this episode. Just like the whole process of coming to America, because racism in Jamaica and America is very different. And 68, you talking about, you know, the whole civil rights movement, all this stuff is going on, right? Um, and being able to come in here as an immigrant 30 days, being able to buy a home, like how long did it take you before you were able to get a home even?
Okay, within I would say 2 years, 2 years tops, because I spent a good while in the construction, and then after construction, I start to go to school.
So we're
While while I was in the construction, I start going to school.
for for going to school for what?
Well, no, at the time I started school, I was concentrating and thinking of my childhood dream was to become an engineer, a mechanical engineer. But after going to different school, I went all the way back down to high school. Uh, when I say go back all the way back, I remember I graduated in Jamaica already from high school, but I came here and I went to high school, Jamaica High School in Queens, and I did my high school equivalency.
Okay.
And then after doing my high school equivalency, then I left and then went to Nassau Community College.
To get your bachelor's degree?
No, that would be associate degree. It's a 2 year college.
Okay.
And after that, and that takes me after I did that at Nassau Community College. While I'm still no, I'm not in construction anymore. I'm working with a snack food company in sales
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
sales.
So while you're doing all of this, your children, so your children didn't see you for 2 years?
No, no. They come up every holiday. They come up.
Okay.
They would come up with their grandmother every holiday and spend the summer here and then go back.
And so they were living in Jamaica with their grandparents?
Right, with their grandma, yeah, their
I
grandparents.
see. I
Mhm.
see. And how old were they at the time?
They came here when they were 6 and 7.
Oh, so they were pretty young during that
Yes, yeah,
transition period.
yeah, yeah.
I see. Okay. I see. So, okay, so you guys you're working for the snack food company doing sales. You go into school with the intention to become a mechanical engineer.
Okay. At that time, yes. But then from there, I realized that this was making things a little bit complicated because I'm learning so much into sales
Mhm.
because the company I'm working with, they did a lot of training and I'm learning a lot. And then going to school, some of the subject I'm doing and so forth. And that's where I decided to make a change. After I got my associate degree, I decided to make a change
Mhm.
and go into business administration.
I see. And take advantage of basically where you are right now and just kind of get to where you want to go as quickly as possible.
Exactly.
Okay. So, I want to understand buying a home. Like, what do you think was like the biggest thing for you on that journey, being able to buy a home? Because that's a big deal for folks when they come to this country, or even anyone. That's the American dream. You want to own a home. So, like, what do you think was like the major factor for you being able to do that?
Okay, the major thing was about managing your money, part of managing your money was meant saving, because you had to have a good amount of money as a down payment. And my job, I made good money from the construction. I made excellent money um, because I mean, what I was making during that time, it's hard to, I mean, to compare it with today. But if you see what construction people make all $50 and $60 an hour right now. Back then, back then, when if you're making $20 an hour, that's a lot of money. $15, that's a lot of money. And
Hmm.
then, in addition to that, I just didn't stick with one job. I did two jobs. I work a full-time job and I do a part-time job.
What was your part-time job?
My part-time job was at the time my first part-time. Okay, no, what I did, for example, while I was in sales, my first part-time job was working with a chain of supermarket as a front-end manager, meaning I'm in charge of the cashiers. So I had to learn the cashier from the floor, learn the cashier, work and so forth. I worked with a company called Pathmark at the time,
Mm.
and I worked there, and so I had money coming in from there, and then my regular job. And then after that, I decided that um, I have enough knowledge about setting up a business. So I went and I set up a business, a construction business. So while I was working, I have a construction business going on. So I would leave my work sometimes and then go in the evening and go to that work job and then work with the job.
Hmm.
And so um, uh, while I was there, it some of the people who was working for me eventually leave and then go out on their own. And then after that, after I closed that job, I had a car service. A car service is like, you know what a car service is?
Where you serve like repair the cars
No,
or
no,
you pick
no.
people up?
Where you pick people up. It's like a
Okay.
Uber service. So I had that car service going. I had people working there.
So you had all these different business ventures. Were they running simultaneously or you would just start, stop? Like how was
No,
that?
some of them stop. Like for example, the constructions one start, and
Mm-hmm.
then I end it, and then I go into the car service business, and then from the car service business, uh, I end that, and I start to concentrate and focus more on my job because now I gotten into management position
Mm-hmm.
within the sales company. So I had to concentrate and learn a lot because at that time it was during the riot with Martin Luther King death and unstableness and they're talking equal rights and people of minorities should get into position and so forth. So I was able to move into position during that time.
Mm. That's
So
interesting.
there was a
Okay.
lot a lot of opportunity came just about during that time.
So you're working your full-time job, you have these entrepreneurial things going on because you have the intention to purchase a home and you know you can't really save your way to a home. So you need to increase your income. So you're basically hustling
Right.
right now. This is your hustle years.
Exactly.
Um
Right.
and then this pivotal thing happens with Martin Luther King, his death, opportunities are opening up. And so how do you what was it one particular company or was it the full-time job that allowed you to be able to actually purchase the home where you were able to get, I'm assuming that you mustered 20% down payment or something, which now is just
Mm.
unfathomable for most
Right.
of us, like to get that together.
No, I saved a lot of money within the company because like I said, we were good money management people, so we saved a lot and we know what we wanted to do. And
Hmm.
remember, the kids were just coming up on a holiday, um, on a holiday. So after a while, they just when it's time for them to go back, they would cry and they didn't want to leave. And so we knew we had to get something fast because we had to get them here
Yeah.
because we couldn't leave that on their grandparents to raising them. So we did what we had to do. But I was making a very good income during that time with because I'm making income from both sides, from the main job and the part-time job. And But the beauty about the part-time job eventually is that after a while, that part-time job is that I own the company doing the part-time job. So I wouldn't have to work there. I just go there and make sure I have somebody managing it. I go there and make sure things is going good. And then then I have to come home and then I go to school. School, I got to take the children into school, do all the different things that a father would do, a parent would do.
That's after they
And
had already come up at that point.
right, exactly. Yeah. But this was a plan that was put in place, and we just work towards the plan.
So how many hours would you say you slept a night?
Oh no, I didn't get. You didn't get. I mean, sleep, but you're um, young, and you're full of energy, and that you have a goal in mind, and you have to work hard for it. So therefore, you just kept going.
Because around this time you're in your early 30s.
I would say yes, early 30s, yes, yeah, because I came here when I was 23 years old.
Oh, okay.
So I was still, I think I bought that house before I was 30. It didn't take me, 23, maybe about, it
So
didn't
you
take me that
saying
time, yes, I
so
bought.
so you came here in your 20s and you managed to buy a home because you worked two jobs, started a few businesses and saved
Yeah, right,
and hardly
saved,
slept apparently.
hardly slept. Yes, oh, you had to make sacrifice. You had to make sacrifice. That's the only way. Yeah,
Yeah.
nothing comes without sacrifice, so you had to do that.
What I'm afraid to ask what your diet was like at that time. Like did your did your
Oh,
did
just
your did your diet like go through a major change moving from Jamaica to New York?
no, because there were Caribbean restaurants, and there was the stuff that we usually eat in Jamaica here. You could get it in the store to buy. So no, I maintained that type of diet that I would have had like I was in Jamaica.
Mm, okay. I see. So would you say that you were eating cooked foods just like from restaurants and things, not processed packaged stuff?
No, well, I eat cooked food because it was cooked home. It cooked home.
Okay.
But if I'm out on the street, yes, I would eat. I would eat if I'm by myself. I would go to a regular West Indian store to get the Jamaican food or so
Hmm.
forth.
Hmm.
But because of my job I moved into management, I was able to get into management, and I started at the low level management until I move up into up the ranks. I started eating at the normal restaurant, the regular restaurants that some of my white counterparts would eat, because I
For
get familiar with their
business?
food now. Yes,
Okay.
I get familiar with their food now, so I start to eat their food, and so forth. And then sometimes I have appointments with clients, and I would meet them at restaurant, and we go out, and or the company boss, the company president, we go out for dinner and so forth. It was a very nice corporate life I started living after a while, while moving up the ranks.
Hmm. 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 Okay, cool. So now we transition now. The like when I was doing the podcast, basically I was saying that, but okay, so you managed to really hustle and get this house. Now the transition now between that time, right? Because now you have a home, you still doing all the hustles with the business, and you working full time, and you're saving and you're building that wealth, right? And then by the time I come along now, I'm growing up in a home and I have extracurricular activities. I have piano class, I have dance class, I have singing lessons, all
Right.
these things. And
Yes.
obviously that costs money to do, which I fully understand now because I haven't been able to do a lot of it since I've been financially responsible for myself.
Right.
so,
Yes.
um,
Yes.
so like, if you were like, what do you think like was the major, the main thing in terms of being able to provide? Because that was like the big question was my childhood was really privileged compared to a lot of other Black youth in the country.
Yes. That is
And
true. That is
and
true.
yeah,
That is true because your mom wanted a daughter very badly. She talked about this daughter and she wanted a daughter and when you come along, it was, oh man, it was such a blessing. You were a prize child. In other words, you were a prize child. I can tell you that. Even your brother was a prize child because he was the only child for her at the
for
first.
12 years
Yeah,
before I came along.
right, exactly. So you came along. I mean, you were like a princess. I mean, this you were treated like, oh, and but you were a good child. You were an excellent child because you didn't give a lot of headaches and a lot of problem like what I see some of my friends' children was given during their growing age coming up. If we say, Sam, sit right here, you will sit right there and you would move. So Sam, do this. Sam will do this. Sam, you was well obedient.
Obedient.
Yes, obedient is the word. I mean, believe you me, you you are a prize. You're a prize child.
I
That's one
must,
thing I
I
can tell you.
must, I must add though, obedient. I don't, I would love to see some research. I don't know if it's out there to see if obedient children actually become millionaires, because I find that the risk takers, the people who don't follow rules, who, go outside the box, tend to take the risks and actually make the money.
Well, that might be so, but that might some of it. I would have to do a research on that
Yeah.
myself. I can,
I
but
plan to look that up before this goes public to see
yeah,
and
but
post that.
but I believe you follow rules and you're listening. You pay attention, and so you observe. You didn't talk about a lot of things, but you observe. How do I know this? Because I see how you function and how you operate later on in getting your teenage age there, the teenage period. I see how you handle yourself, and the only way you can handle yourself like that, and it's like some people used to say, it's like you were here before. That's what some people would say. Oh, she was here before, man. This girl is too smart. She's too this. However, I know you observe because you had a lot of mature people around you. You had a lot of mature people. So
So
you came around. You came around, and you came around at that time too when um we were actually living the American dream
right. all the
because
all
you
the
came around.
struggle
You
happened before I got there,
Right,
basically.
right. So you came around during the wealth, the season of reaping,
Yeah.
called harvesting. The harvesting, you were part of that harvesting. Everything was around you. Look there, this opportunity. We could go here. You could go on cruise. You could go here. You could go there. Money was
Yeah.
not object when you came around.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I learned from this conversation is that you know, you came here and you were very focused. First, you needed to
Yes,
get your children here, and in order to do that, you wanted to bring them here with into a home. And so you had to get that money together quick in order to do that. And so you were really strategic about working and hustling with entrepreneurial endeavors in order to make more and save more in order to get your down payment and get your house and get your kids together.
that is
And
correct.
this whole journey too, like I noticed, like in the Black community in particular, people are very much focused on their money with the exclusion of health, because it's like money is the most important thing. Once I get the money, then everything else falls in line. And I've been saying, why wait till you have the money? Because you don't really have to do that. And then once you get the money, you're only going to end up spending all of it on medical bills because you didn't take care of your health. But also, this conversation is shedding a light on different perspectives
Yes,
because
it is, yes,
because
it is.
we did an episode about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And so if folks are feeling like they don't have their basic needs met, something like healthy foods or something that's not an emergency, and the money feels like an emergency, they're only going to be looking at the emergency.
Yes.
um so yeah, it's really quite interesting. And basically the privileges that I've been afforded were because of the sacrifices that you all made and the wealth building activities that you did.
Right. That
the
is correct.
the
That is
home,
okay.
the savings, and the entrepreneurial endeavors.
Mindset. Yes, yes. Endeavors. Yes. That's what got us to the place where we are today. So your experience, you have experience there of your two parents' ownership of a business, starting from the beginning and moving it up to a certain level. You
Hmm.
came around during that time because most of everything was actually in place, put together while you were around.
Yeah.
The only thing that put a little dampen onto the whole process was when the economy crashed in 2008,
Hmm.
or else you probably would be running your dad company right now.
Yes, I know you had so many parental fantasies.
Yes, 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 yes. That's what
So,
it is. Yes.
at some point I do want to talk about um how, because generational wealth building doesn't happen within one generation. So you guys all did all these major sacrifices to give your kids, you know, the American dream. But then the kids, now we're living in a time where it's very difficult to buy a home, to get a down payment. 20% down payment is extremely difficult, especially if you're on the coast, you know.
Yes. Well, my experiences with the people who I that I associated with, they were in a different mindset. They were more or less um, uh, their goals were to get an education and to move up the ladder also. But we were looking on controlling your destiny. Like I was looking for controlling my destiny. I wanted to control wherever I would land. Because um, just to give you an example, I remember making over quarter million, $250,000 a year. Once I reached that plateau, I see the things that, oh, I was living,
So
the
wait, you
restaurants
you
I'm
kind
going,
of
I'm
hold on
traveling.
one second,
Hmm?
Dad. Can you hear me? You got a little low. You said you were making $250,000 a year,
Yes, yes.
and you plateaued.
No, no, no. $250,000 a year. That's where I remember getting to that level,
Yeah.
and I was thinking now from there now to move into the that would move me into the next level.
So
I
you
was I
just
was
want to
working on
like you just the
keep going,
250 can't
keep
be
going.
the cap. You want more, more,
No,
more.
no, it's not. Yes, it's not. No, but believe you me, 250,000 back then. That was a lot of money. I had a lot of money in the bank. I had a lot of money was going.
Today,
I
I
would. I
wouldn't I wouldn't blink at that today even. you know.
no. When I, like, for example, when I buy a new car, I don't even go to the dealer to get the dealer brings my car at home. The dealer deliver my car. You understand? I was at that level. People wanted to talk to me. People wanted to ask me how did I get there? How did I do it? But I didn't let all that go to my head. to capitalize on it, to say, all right, let me do this, let me do that. I was just still trying to be humble with the people who gave me the opportunity and still around me, that is helping me to keep rising. I still maintain a loyalty to them and a humbleness to them, because they were the ones who helped me and cradled me to get to that level.
So, and this is where the story is a little different, I guess, like between you and mommy, because mommy had family support systems. You
Right,
also had some family support where you could come here and live, for a while to get yourself on the ground. But in terms of like your wealth building, you developed those networks and those relationships with people that
exactly.
were just
Right,
here.
right. I started to build network with people who had the funds, financial people. People were willing to help me. People said to me, why are you working? Do you let me set you up in a business. Let me do it. There were people who people of means who wanted to do that for me, but I just didn't want them to do it because I know that they would need to be rewarded somewhere along the line. So I didn't focus on them, because if I didn't feel like I was ready,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think I want to move that quickly. I just wanted to move at the pace that I was going.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and of course, when you reach a certain level, somewhere along the line, a chip is always on your shoulder, because you walk around with a chip on your shoulder, and you can't let it get to you. You have to manage it, because it's nothing, nothing wrong with having a chip on your shoulder, as long as you don't, overdo it, or over, like try to make people look silly or be rude to people. You still maintain a certain, but
Humility.
people who are around you should know their place, because that's how you were able to get to where you are, because you knew your place around the people that help you to get where you are.
Hmm.
And so you are hoping that other people would see that. But then there are people that is coming up now, is in another generation now, they don't care about that. So they will start to treat you just like you're a nobody. And then sometimes you have to, you stop them and explain to them, this is the reason. And if you really want to get to this place, this is what you have to do. So while you're going along, you're teaching people observing you, but then you have to teach other people too, because getting to that level without reaching back and helping another, somebody to get to that level, is like you're still not accomplishing anything. You don't feel you haven't done your duty here, as far as I'm concerned. Your duty is to help each other, help the other person, and you always look to help the person who's less fortunate than yourself, to move them forward.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I can say at this point, I have lots of people who give me phone calls, um, and tell me personally, um, in my face, and thank me for what I've done for them, what I've helped them. And I can look back at some of them now and look at them now doing very well, flying high. And they said, "Oh, Dudley, I got all of this from you."
Yeah.
And it's funny, I would always tell them that whatever they learn, I said, it wasn't just me teaching you. You were teaching me too, because I learned from them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You understand? Um, so that is a good place to be, where you can look back and you can think back and you can say, okay, you helped someone along the way.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, was there anything I didn't ask you that I should have asked you?
Well, that's a good question. There are so much things that it would take. Oh, you would have to do several other part one, part two, part three. You
Yeah.
know, and the reason for that is because my journey has not been an easy one, but it has so much little things on the way that it would take a long time for me to explain that. But it's something that the person could learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
I was saying, I was very happy that I was able to come and work for you and your husband for 2 years in Chicago. Because although I was parting my knowledge to both of you, I was learning from both of you too. Because you were both of you were as a different generation and have certain qualities that I'm not familiar with, and I'm looking at it and I'm saying, oh, this we have to be able to uh, synchronize this together to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Because I might be seeing things this way and you seeing this way, and we both have a point. But how do we make it work? We have to come. It's like Republican and Democrat. We have to find a way to make it work.
Now, and I'll post in the show notes to this episode the book that I'm reading on mindset by Carol Dweck, the growth mindset versus a fixed mindset.
Yeah,
Um, because the only way you can accomplish what you and mommy have accomplished is with a growth mindset, that that you're living in the land of abundance, there's lots of opportunity, it is possible for you to achieve what you want to achieve. You will have to make some sacrifices, that type of thing, as opposed to
yeah.
like, it's not going to happen for me, I'm black, there's racism, and i
No,
cannot I cannot achieve because of XYZ.
no, that will not get you anywhere. No, that
So
will not get you.
it's like trying to figure out, where do we go from here? But I'm really thankful and happy and grateful to have had this conversation so we could set the record straight from your side, because
Okay.
we don't really
Uh,
talk about daddy's side a lot on
yeah,
the podcast.
yeah. I'm thankful for the opportunity to do that and to be able to, for you to be able to pursue your goal and to be as accurate as possible with the information that you pass out down,
Yeah.
because your achievement is our achievement. That's how I look at it, and we want the best for you. Thank you again. Thank you,
Thank
and
you.
all your viewers for the opportunity to be able to express the things and a little bit of the topic that I have gone through.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the question I get all the time is, how do you have a last name Salmon and you promote a vegan diet? I get
Oh
that all
yes,
the
yes,
time.
yeah,
But there's a doctor whose
yeah.
last name is Saladino. So
Hmm.
salad is in the name, right? Saladino. And he
Right,
basically promotes a keto, like a Atkins type
right.
carnivorous diet.
Yes,
So
yeah, yeah.
walking
That's
opposites.
that is funny. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I have to examine that and explore that.
Yeah.